Hey guys, me again. Today we actually have two items a customer brought in for me to take a look at. First thing, I'm just going to show it to you. It's a subwoofer thingamajiggy from a Cerwin-Vega subwoofer system. Apparently this thing is about 25 years old. Issue with it is the customer states that the sound is not so great. Actually, it sounds horrible, kinda, when it's played. So I already actually went ahead and took a look at this because I didn't have the idea of filming it, but now I said screw it, whatever. I'm going to show you guys what I found. But basically, I had a look at it. There's not much going on. There's a transformer that takes the 120-volt mains. We got a fuse down there protecting the whatever the circuits. And basically it goes from 120 volts primary side and the secondary side. Here we go. There's another board on the top. This is where the actual power amplifier is. It's just a mono block. There's nothing much. This is a PNP transistor, and that's an NPN transistor right over here. And then this, I guess, is some sort of I think it's not. It might be a thermistor. I'm not sure. I think it's a thermistor. Basically, it's taking the temperature of the this is the heat sink that it's on, so it's making sure it's not going crazy. But basically, what we have going on here, 120 volts comes in. We got our full bridge rectifier. We got our two main filter caps. We have a relay for output protection. But the issue actually is not with really the power amplifier section alone. If you notice, I have a bunch of X's on those caps, and if you want to give a guess what the issue might be, yep, we got bad caps. And I quoted the customer a price to fix this and replace all the caps. Customer decided not to go ahead with the repair, didn't want it to be fixed. Instead, we have a second piece now that we're going to look at. So this one, unfortunately, I'm not going to be doing anything to it, given the choice of the customer. So this one's going to be given back to him as it is, and he'll decide whatever he wants to do with it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to leave this aside. Again, there's nothing much going on here. It's our power circuit over here, our power amplifier circuit. We have our output for the sub, which is here. That goes to the actual subwoofer. Yeah, and otherwise it's pretty simple. We have our input board here, our preamp, if you want to call it, over here, and then we have our amp over here, and then the rest is just whatever. It's a monoblock subwoofer amplifier. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna put this to the side, and I'm gonna show you guys now the other piece that the customer gave me to have a look at. So let's do that now. Here's the amplifier. It's a nice looking Yamaha, and of course I have to wipe the camera down because it's fogging up. There we go. This is a Yamahahaha natural sound AV receiver RX-A730. And I plugged it into my dim bulb and I tried to give it a fire on, but nothing's happening. It's blinking a bunch of times and it's like dead completely. So I think I have to reset it. It's like the Onkyo and the Pioneer. There's a button or two that you hold to reset the unit and it's gonna power on. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that because I think I was limiting the current too much on my dim bulb. So I'm gonna put it on full current, and I'm just gonna reset it and turn it on because now it's not doing anything. I didn't even open it up. So yeah, let me go ahead and just reset this. I have to look it up quickly which button it is, but it's maybe these two. I don't know. I have to take a look. So I'm going to go do that now, and I'm going to come back when I know which one it is. So I believe I found the buttons that I need to do. Actually, I already did it for the sake of the video because I can't do it with the camera. Unfortunately, I don't have a holder for this. But the way to reset this is it's simple because I've seen this so many times of these darn, units like this Yamaha, Onkyo, Pioneer. You think there's a big problem going on with these units, but really there's nothing big going on. So only thing you have to do is you have to, and for the Yamaha, you have to hold the tone control info button over here. Those two buttons, the tone control and the info button, you hold these down, and when you hold these down, you go ahead, you power on the unit. It's gonna go into some like temporary setting or diagnostic mode, and if there's anything severely wrong with the unit, you're gonna see it on the screen. But just to show you now that it's working, so after you see the diagnostic screen, you just go ahead, you turn it off, and then to put it in normal mode, you wait a couple seconds and you just power it on, and it's gonna work. And now there you go, here you go, it says main on. I have it selected on AV6, the relays are clicking. Tuner server, HDMI, AV1, I think there should be a aux, video aux, that's video aux. I have to see. What I'm going to do actually is I'm going to hook up a speaker to the back of this thing, because apparently the complaint from the customer said, what the customer was saying was it wasn't turning on, or at least it was turning on, but there was no sound output whatsoever. So I'm going to go ahead, connect the speaker, put an aux cable, and I'm going to see if we get a sound output on this thing. It could have been just this, you know, but we're going to go ahead and we're going to see if there's a severe issue with this, you know. So let me go ahead, connect it up, and I'll be right back. So I thought I'd come back with an update. I think I may know the issue. Basically what's going on is, now if I leave it, now it's turned on and I have my aux cord hooked up to it, to my tablet over there. I'm trying to play music and there's nothing coming out. I'm doing all the possible modes and I should be hearing something by now coming out, and there's nothing at all. Just double checking my tablet. Yeah, we should be hearing some music. Let's see if I can change the song, but it doesn't do anything. So the customer is right, it turns on but there's no output whatsoever. Now I tried using this button straight so that there's no fancy whatever signal processing used possibly, so basically straight from the tablet to the preamp of this thing. Now there's another button called Pure Direct, and I think that bypasses the DSP completely on the top here, which is where the HDMI inputs are. So if I hit that, let's see if we hear something. See, before I was hearing something, now I'm not even hearing anything out of this button. So I think we may have an issue with the power supply on this thing. We might have an issue with the power supply. If I give it a couple whacks, I tapped it to see maybe loose connections or broken connections, but nothing. I was playing music not even a couple minutes ago, and now it just decided to stay quiet. So I'm trying to bring it back alive to show you what I was hearing before, but let's see. Nope. Let me power it off. And I'm gonna go ahead and power it back on in a second here. The inrush current is pretty high on this thing, it looks like. Okay, we have a click. Now if I go here, nothing. I think we might have an issue with the power supply on this thing. So I'm going to go ahead and take the top cover off, and I'm going to look around inside and see what the heck is going on. Maybe I might find an issue there. So yeah, so let's get started. I'm going to move some stuff on the side, take the cover off, and we're going to peek around inside and see what's going on. So let's go ahead and start doing that. So I just want to show you now, I got it working all of a sudden, but I'm going to keep the film rolling now. And I'm going to show you what happens now when it plays for a couple minutes. It's going to cut out and it's going to come back. So I'm playing some no copyright music once again. So if I increase the volume, I'll watch what happens. course, it's working when I have it on the camera, but I kid you not, a couple minutes ago, this thing was playing music and it was cutting in and out. But let me see if I can try to recreate the problem. This is one of the harder things to do, is to recreate intermittent issues. But one thing also that doesn't explain everything is, yeah, there you go. See, just cut out and I came back. There we go. So as you saw, and that wasn't my Wi-Fi connection, because I was testing that as well, and my music is playing continuously and it's the amp that's cutting it in and out. It's not my tablet. So one thing that doesn't explain everything is the Pure Direct seems to work, but if I go out of Pure Direct mode, now it's working. Yes. There we go. I don't know if you saw that, but there you go. See? Left, subwoofer, right. I think we're gonna have an issue with that stupid IC, that Texas Instrument IC. Oh boy. It's the same with all the other ones. See, now it's on. Now it's playing without the Pure Direct mode. Give me a second. So we are back. It's the next day. What we're gonna do on this Yamahaha. So basically, in the last clip, as you saw when we were playing music, the output would actually cut in and out, and we saw for a split second our surround sound come on without the Pure Direct mode on. So I was doing some testing, and given my past experience with some of other similar units to this, usually it's the HDMI board that tends to go out, you know, for XYZ reasons. I don't know. I just so happened to test some of these electrolytics, and I'll show you what I found. Basically, this guy tests okay, this is okay, those are okay, that one's okay, that one's okay, that one's okay. The ones that seem to be problematic are these three and this one. If I can't really show you on my ESR meter, but these ones are testing in like the 20 ohms range. It's really high. So these ones are supposedly bad. And then this one also seems to be pretty high, so I'm going to change it out. If it fixes it, you know, it would be nice, but it could be that this chip might be faulty, because I've seen also in the past faulty Texas Instruments DSP chips, because this is what this guy is basically. It's a signal, it's a sound processor or whatever, and I've seen them go faulty in the past, and sometimes it's a BGA variant, sometimes it's whatever, I think it's TQFP variant. Sometimes it's like this is a BGA variant, sometimes it's like this, the pins are on the outside. So what we're gonna do, and I know the rest over here is okay, because this is the power amp section over here. Basically, we have a pair of transistors for each of the zones. So we have the front left, the front right, the surround back left, the surround back right, the center, the front, the top high, the top left, the top right. So there's a pair for each one, and there's quite a few of them, as you can see. These are all okay. That's not the problem. Seems to be, this is like a little tiny power supply over here. This is okay as well. It's really going to be this HDMI board. It's that's just what it comes down to, unfortunately, you know. So we're going to go ahead and replace, there's 3, 4. We're going to replace the 4 caps, and we're going to see if that solves the issue. If it does, very good. But if it doesn't, I really don't think the problem is elsewhere. I mean, I just know, looking around and measuring and taking some voltages, I think the problem is really going to be here. So let me go ahead and I'm gonna replace those caps, and when that's done, I'm going to come back. Okay, and we're back. Unfortunately, as I suspected, it did not do much. I'll show you the capacitors that I replaced. So this one here, right here, this is a 33 microfarad. Original was 10 volts. This is 25 volts. And then I replaced these 3 here, because they tested very high on the ESR meter. These are 10 microfarads at 25 volts. The originals were 10 microfarad at 16. So the original ones were reading like something close to 21 ohms on the ESR meter, and yeah, so they weren't good, so I removed them, and now it's reading about 2 ohms, 3 ohms, which is good because they're low, they have a smaller capacitance, so that's okay. So they were replaced, but all the other ones were testing okay on the board, so I didn't change them. But yet we still have the same issue, and I'm not surprised because it's not the first time I encounter one of these freaking garbage units. You know, unfortunately, this Yamahaha, as nice as it looks, it's really not built with a lot of stuff going on inside. It's basically a HDMI board, a power amplifier under it, and then just the front. There's really not much to this unit. You know, compared to the older units where we had a tuner board, we had a power supply board / power amp, and then we had a power amplifier board. So it was a lot more exploded and a lot more components were used, I believe, in those older units. So you cannot compare a new Yamaha to an old one. Unfortunately, it's just not the same, you know. So regardless, basically the issue is with these units. It's the first time I'm filming this, but trust you me, it's not the first time I encounter it. This is a Texas Instrument IC. It's a DSP chip, and for some reason, there's two things. If it's a BGA chip like that Altera FPGA right there, then a reflow usually would solve the problem. Or if you're really unlucky and you know you do the reflow and you put it back and it still doesn't work, the issue is with the actual chip itself, you know. And the only way to fix the problem is if you would have to replace the entire chip. With this guy, it's not a BGA package. It's, like I said, a TQFP something package, because the pins are exposed around the IC. It's a big IC, if you couldn't tell already. The pins are exposed around, unlike the FPGA right there. It's called a BGA ball grid array because the pins are under it, and they're tiny balls that basically solder each pin to the board and to the chip. So it's a known issue with these ICs in particular. You see the Texas Instrument logo right over there, and it says something something whatever Cinema DSP, and then there's the Dolby logo on the DTS. These ICs fail pretty much a lot on all these units. They're almost every single unit made of this era. This is it says right there on the back, actually, if you look, it says what is it, 15th of April, no sorry, 19th of April 2013. So this unit from to this date to that date now, it's about 10 years old given the date and time that I'm recording this video. It is actually over 10 years old. 10 years old in a couple months. So again, these ICs fail regardless of the package variant, if it's a BGA variant or if it's a TQFP variant. Anytime I see these units, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to say to my customers, say, look, if you want, it's fixable, but it's just a question of money, you know. The chances of me getting this IC in North America, I don't know if it's good or not, but I know for sure China on AliExpress will have this IC. But you know, they could be counterfeits, fakes, who knows. So but again, all this talk, the reason why that's the culprit is because if you look here, normally in this case on this Yamaha, right under the volume indicator, you have a speaker light that comes on, or a set of 3 or 4 more whatever lights that come on showing the speakers are actually active. And as you can see on this unit, they are turned off. And regardless if you try to turn them on or off, it's still not going to appear as on over here. So the issue is with the IC, and I'm going to prove to you guys actually the issue is with the IC, and I'll show you how. But basically what it comes down to, this IC is responsible for all the audio paths on this amplifier. So it's responsible for the audio coming from the HDMI jacks. It's responsible for the audio coming from the jacks below, the RCA jacks, pretty much everything, you know. And it controls whether or not there's output to the preamp on this amplifier. And then the power amplifier, of course, which the preamp and the power amplifier are not the issue on this amp, like I said. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my hot air gun right over here. I have it set to 140 degrees Celsius, as you can see, 140. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply a bit of hot air on that IC, and I'm going to put my camera here, and I have music also playing at the same time, actually. So when the lights come on the front here, you're going to see the sound is going to be restored. So let me apply a bit of heat. I'm just going to put my heat gun right over the chip like that. Give it a couple of seconds and you're going to see the lights are going to come back on here. So we're going to heat this thing up, and you're going to hear music come out as well at the same time. When the lights come on, there you go. There we go. And now we have sound. I don't know if you can hear. The sound came back. And we're playing our music still. And now this is what I was saying before. You see these three lights? In this case, there's three shown, left, right, and subwoofer. I'm gonna keep rolling the video, and you're gonna see in a couple minutes, or maybe less than a couple minutes, these lights are gonna come off. So if you apply a bit of heat to that IC, the sound comes back and you have a working receiver. But this is not a permanent fix. This is only a temporary fix. And as you can see, we have sound coming out. Give it a couple minutes and you're gonna see this is gonna go away. And I'm gonna keep recording just so you guys can see live. Again, I'm playing no copyright, whatever music, YouTube music. And right before it's gonna completely cut out, it's gonna toggle on and off, and then it's just gonna completely shut off. The longer you apply heat to that thing at the same whatever regulated temperature, I believe this will stay on longer, if I'm not mistaken. And if you're wondering, I already checked the pins around the IC. The connections are good. The pins are actually are okay. It's internally inside the IC. Oh, there we go. See? Came out. It might come back now. Or might not come back at all. Yeah, it came back, but it's going to cut out completely now in a couple of seconds. There you go, you see? And the sound is gone and the lights are gone. It's back and it's going to come out. And I think it's not going to come back. Now I think it's dead. You see how that happens? This is the same for all of these units. It doesn't matter if it's a Yamaha or if it's an Onkyo or if it's an Integra, which is part of Onkyo. JVC, if I'm not mistaken, Pioneer. As long as that IC is used, it might be a different like model number of on the IC, but as long as it is a Texas Instruments DSP IC, no matter the size, the form factor, the package type, if it says Texas Instrument on it, and if it says Cinema DSP or DSP on it or whatever, guaranteed it's going to feel like this one, and this is the issue. So the only permanent fix to this would be to replace that IC over here, and then, you know, but the thing is, yeah, the only permanent fix would be to replace this IC, and that's providing that you can find one, you know. So it's possible that you can't find one alone. You can find probably the board still on Fleabay or something, but to find the IC alone is a bit of a challenge. But once again, as you can see, our lights are out and our sound is out. So again, because that IC is responsible for all the audio functionality on these amps. It controls the audio coming from the HDMI jacks, and it also controls the audio coming from the RCA jacks as well. So it's analog and digital. basically. And if that IC is not working, then nothing will. Basically, you're gonna have your amp is gonna turn on like this, and you're gonna see your screen and everything, but you won't see your speakers, the layout come on, the indicator. So that little indicator like I have over here on yours, it could be here, it could be on the side, this side of the screen on your unit. The point is it's not going to appear, and the problem will be with that IC. And again, the only way that you can fix that IC is if you replace it completely, you know. That's the only permanent fix. But even then, if you replace the IC, eventually it will fail again because it's a design flaw, if I'm not mistaken. These ICs were not designed too great, and they fail, you know, prematurely or whatever. Or maybe not. This thing is 10 years old, so probably, you know. But I mean, even if, you know, 10 years old still, some people might say, oh, it did its time or whatever. But I disagree because, you know, I've seen slightly older units that come from like the early 2000s. So they're past the age of discrete components and completely analog components and whatnot. So basically past the point like this guy over here with the silver look and the wood cabinet. So this is like the 70s, 80s era of amps. So the early 2000s, which are just, you know, they look a bit similar to this and they're plastic, whatever. They last longer than these units, you know, and I have a couple that are still working to this day, you know. So it's just they could have designed that IC a bit better, and this unit would be still working to this day if that was the case. So I'm gonna let the customer know that that's gonna be the fix to this unit, and he's probably not gonna, you know, he's not gonna be willing to pay to replace that chip, you know, because it's not an easy job. I have to use my hot air gun. I have to use, you know, it's a very delicate procedure. I have to be careful what I do, and I have a bunch of tiny components around this IC over here. Surface mount diodes and resistors and little tiny ceramic capacitors, you know, whatever, you know, all around this chip. So it's not an easy procedure, and I have to charge for my time. There's just no way out of it. So, I mean, to recap before I end the video, because there's not much that I can say now at this point, we found a couple of capacitors, surface mount electrolytics, that were bad. They were replaced. And I think those actually, one or more of these caps fixed this over here. I don't know if you remember early on in the video, the Pure Direct also didn't seem to be working, but it's still not quite working, and I'm going to show you why. I'm going to go into Pure Direct mode. And if I increase the volume, let's see. Yeah, you see, it's not working now. So, unfortunately, even in Pure Direct mode, I thought this actually would bypass that IC, but I don't think it does. And you know what I'm going to do, actually? I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put some heat on that chip again, and I'm going to see if this Pure Direct mode comes back to life. Because even that's not working, you know. It's strange, though, because we did find, and I can promise you, I checked with my ESR meter, and that thing doesn't lie. We found a couple caps that were bad, so it's a combination of the two, I guess. So I'm going to apply some more heat on this IC. We're going to see if the Pure Direct comes back. Yeah, the IC is bad. There's no way around it. So even in Pure Direct mode, so as you saw, we are in Pure Direct mode, and the sound is back all of a sudden. So I thought that in Pure Direct mode the IC would be bypassed, but it's not the case. What a lovely mess. The audio still goes to that IC, and it does something inside it. Again, the fault is internal. The pins around it are okay. So if I go out of Pure Direct mode, it's working. And again, the lights are back on, as you can see. 1, 2, 3. Left, subwoofer, right. And if I go into Pure Direct mode, it's working again. So unfortunately, there's not much that we can do to this amp. I'm going to let the customer know with what I found. And he's just going to be basically paying for my time to diagnose this and mess around with this. Yeah, so if you guys have any of these amps, just be aware that those ICs go bad, and on like pretty much all of them they go bad. So if you guys like this video, please leave a thumbs up, leave a comment down in the bleep bloop section below, and make sure you hit the bell so you don't miss a new video when I upload one. And as always, take care guys, and we'll catch you on the next one. Bye bye.